Ket. Please give the round of applause. And Madam Loktionova. We have two wonderful specialists, both specialized in textiles and interiors, and we are happy to welcome them both here. The topic of their today's speech on the same wave. This is the name of their lecture or webinar. It's better to say so. Both of our participants will welcome us through the internet. We will happy to have them at least through the internet. So once again, the topic is called On the Same Wave, and our guest will show how we need to work together in collaboration. We'll listen about the trend book. If you need, you can use interpretation. So let's start. Thank you very much. I welcome you all. I'm happy to speak to you today. My name is Olga Loktionova. I'm designer and also the founder of the textile studio. And for 4 years, I've been the official representatives of Milou Ket in Russia. Milou Ket has been already introduced. She's a great specialist. And I also want to add that she's one of the most influential persons in this field. She is an incredible trend watcher, stylist, and designer. Today's lecture will have two parts. We also have the Q&A. And at the very end, we also will answer the questions from the audience, two questions. I'm really happy that Milou Ket has visited Russia 3 times already and was a keynote speaker previous year. She visited Sochi for 2 times during the Art Week project. So today we'll show how to work with trend book, and our designers in Sochi has been using this a lot. So we'll share our experience with you. Now I give the floor to Milou Ket, who will share her experience, her work.
Thank you very much for introducing me, Olga, and thank you, Heimtex, for having us. I will tell you today some more about myself, my experience, my customers, and of course, my book. I have a styling office already more than 40 years, specialized in interiors, colors, prints, and innovation. First, I will tell and show you something about my method and my work. I graduated from the Art Academy in Amsterdam, and with my talent, education, and a decade business experience, I started 40 years ago my own company. Details on my bio on the website. I've worked for several international interior magazines. I made mood boards about contract and consumer trends. I worked for 8 years for a fabric company where I coordinated plain fabrics and prints, but also made the colorways. This is a colorway that I made for an Indian company for a silk fabric. I always start the season by making my color cards. I collect information from different sources. I visit yarn, material, and fabric fairs. I make the color card myself on the computer. I make small steps between the different shades to make my recipes. Usually, when I speak somewhere or visit a trade fair, I stay a few days longer to explore the city and to see the different shops. In that way, I learn to understand the taste of the consumers in these different countries. Color plus images. Images, images, and atmosphere. I'm continuously shifting images until I am content. And by doing so, I speak to myself to explain it and to justify the choices that I make. These are some of the brands of my customers. This is the studio of a customer in New York who takes the whole book apart to follow the themes and to develop prints and fabrics. I will show you now some old images 13 years ago from my previous books to show you what my customers did with it. Duni, market leader in the field of napkins and table runners, developed these Zen-inspired products. I will show you now some other images from my former books and how customers have interpreted the themes and colors. Another one from Duni. Different curtains from Baumann in Austria based on my color card. I'm showing already a long time a theme about sustainability. Here you see shades of green for a botanical theme. Here the interpretation by Duni, and in the same mood by Baumann. Usually, I also have an historic, luxurious direction, a look at the rich colors. Some fabrics by Baumann, and on the right you see the color card. Here is another mood board from my interior book 13 years ago in black and white. And the interpretation by Castellano Beltrame from South Africa. They make curtain rods, vinyls, and curtain accessories such as tassels. I've worked for almost 6 years for Swarovski as consultant architecture. For the business unit architecture on lighting. I made mood boards explaining certain currents, showing the atmosphere and their colors. I did workshops with their designers for the development of their crystal components. The shapes, the sizes, and I made styling reports and mood boards for bathrooms where the colors are shown on the sides. These are a few large crystal components for bathrooms. I also advised Swarovski on innovation. Sometimes I had to work 10 years ahead. It inspired me to make the book on the design aspects and materials of innovation. Sometimes I give lectures about it. I've called it Innovation Lab. It has been made more than 10 years ago already, but still gives a very forward vision on the future. This is an idea how to apply solar cells that are embedded in the roadway. Together with the 26 turbines arranged between the support pillars, it would power some 15,000 homes according to the designers. Here, some ideas by Belgian architect Vincent Callebaut to prepare Paris to meet the sustainable goals. Projections and light effects play an important role. The use of LEDs, also here. Light metals and aluminium to apply for computers, kitchens, etc. The Kitchen Nano Garden by Hyundai is a super cool concept for growing a vegetable garden right in your kitchen without help from sun or rain. New solutions with wind energy, inflatable windmills that can be placed everywhere. This bioplastic chair is made of turnip, corn, and sugarcane. The chair on the right is made of wool. Combined with bioresin, it is a sustainable alternative to plastic. In our textile environment, there's also a lot of innovation. like this beautiful gradient weave, but especially in the use of innovative materials such as corn, fruit waste, milk, pineapple, cactus, etc. Wallpaper with LEDs. A few years ago, I was asked as keynote speaker on Asian luxury hospitality projects in Singapore. And I enjoyed visiting the huge indoor greenhouses and learn about their innovative solutions for the environment. These are some of the images from my presentation in Singapore for hospitality. This is the lounge of the Conservatorium Hotel in Amsterdam by Piero Lisoni. Striking are the colorful elements such as the lime chairs and the colored carpets for a homely effect. The jacuzzi seems to float because of the LEDs. Even the stainless steel bars are curved. And here another example of a streamlined wellness hotel. Sometimes I'm asked by a smaller company to help them with their collection. Color and prints are my specialty. I also offer consultancy with Skype or FaceTime. I enjoy using my expertise to help and find customized solutions. And this is the result of that color card, based on existing bestsellers, but also on future colors. They were presented at Heimtex in Frankfurt. Now that I felt comfortable in the field of hospitality issues and luxury materials, I've been twice in Dubai, where I gave a presentation about service design. A fascinating city with the Burj Khalifa, sometimes with a high Walt Disney content. I gave a presentation about luxury service design, here with organic shapes in wood. Solutions in laser-cut metals for an unexpected decorative effect when the light shines through. The luxury of huge ceilings based on Islamic shapes. And here are some nice examples of the effect of LED lights, or amazing ideas with color. After that, I got a dream assignment to make the mood boards for 5 private jets. I was asked by industrial designers to help them to define the atmosphere for 5 private jets in China. They wanted to work with me instead of well-known interior designers because they wanted to work with someone who is flexible and does not have a specific style. I could use my knowledge of the hospitality assignment. I had to do research for men, and in this case, very wealthy men, and their preferences for colors, materials, textures, and shapes. I made several mood boards, here a very neutral one in shades of gray. And this one shows cool metals in combination with warm brick and orange. One in shades of blue, where lighting and transparency play an important role, with silver, mint, and accents in teal and peacock. More stern with metallics such as copper and gold, in combination with brown. Over the years, I've been more than a dozen times in Istanbul to speak for the FTEX. Then I got the assignment from 150 Turkish weavers to take care of their trend presentation for home and contract textiles at Heimtex. I came up with the idea of facets, so I called it the presentation Facets of Splendor. I had to give the manufacturers information about colors, materials, weaves and prints, and textures. So I prepared this information for them in neutral colors with the addition of gold and copper. For this assignment, I needed to form a team. The booth was executed in mirror material in the shape of facets. Here a picture in the booth. Outside and at different spots at the fair were large announcements about the theme Facets of Splendor. And this is the cover of the booklet that I made, again with the color card and with facets. I made a PowerPoint presentation as well. Here you see some of the pages of that book, and in dark colors. Now that was the Turkish booth. The last few years I've made some custom-made trend books for wall-covering company Rush in Germany. I will show you some of the images from that trend report. Here we see golden touches added to products made of natural stone and marbling effects. The wallpaper and the dress have both marbled prints. Romantic cartone flowers like roses, bouquets, and hand-painted flowers for fashion as well as for interiors. In my theme called Forces of Nature, images of cloudy skies from the weather, the waves of the sea and the moon are the sources of inspiration. Historic landscapes, especially with a slight colonial look, are in demand. We see antique engraving techniques of landscapes with palm trees and exotic plants. Then finally, I will show you some images from my interior book. Usually, I distinguish 6 different styling directions, all with their specific colors and atmosphere, a very complete idea of different mentalities. But within each theme, there is a continuity from one season to another. And when you look at the images from these trends throughout the years, you'll notice how trends evolve. This mood board is made 6 years ago, and because of the workshop later, I will just focus on this direction and show you some examples. I showed color cards and also ideas for color combinations. In the book, I show 10 mood boards per theme. A light gray beige interior looks warm because of the uneven textures, washed linen and seams on the outside. From that same book, products with a golden glow for a warm effect are now part of this neutral direction. This is an image of that same direction 2 years later. Irregular textures, as in hand-applied brushstrokes, knits, chenille, and velvet make use of change. Textures are very important. Natural fibers and textures here with wood grains, woven effects, wood veneer, and cork variations. We also see natural stone and marble. Again, 2 years later, we see simplicity and minimalism in the interior, Scandinavian inspired, but also reminiscent of Japanese interiors, an emphasis on the natural and the essential. Also from last year's book, an old pink is added to give a cozy feeling to the interior. And for next year, the colors of this theme are quiet and dusty for a calming effect. Sometimes a small outline in black is applied. Natural shades with a yellowish effect of warm yellow or gold for textiles, carpets, and furniture. Natural stone is used for the bath and the stool. The furniture shapes are rounded. The interior is well balanced and shows minimalistic traits in neutral colors and natural materials, wood, bone, wool, and linen. And then I go back 6 years again, an ethnic theme based on a bohemian lifestyle inspired by ideas from all corners of the world. We show the souvenirs from our travels and display them in our homes. Old handcrafted techniques are appreciated again. The color card and the suggestions for color combinations. Indigo is an important color. We see it back in the blue porcelain, but also in the cyanotype print. Olga has chosen for a quiet commercial translation for the workshops. In this theme, 4 years ago, are some neutral colors as well. Off-white and light beige are combined with a darker beige and with black. An African-inspired atmosphere is evoked by warm earth colors and brown, but also by braided and hand-woven materials, wood grain, handmade products such as woven baskets, animal prints, and masks. Neutral colors in last year's book for 2021 with neutral colors for a Moroccan style. We see natural materials such as rattan, untreated wood, cane, etc. Or a more luxurious translation with gold and glittering materials for an opulent interior reminiscent of Indian influences. Gold and crystal chandeliers contribute to the luxurious atmosphere. It continues for 21-22. A Mediterranean style is popular in light neutrals with accents in brown or black. Pillows have fluffy ornaments. Textiles are important in the interior. Macrame and handmade carpets are back. We see braided plates and baskets, unbleached cotton and bamboo. Here, black plays a prominent role in this Moroccan and African style direction. Braided baskets and plates, lamps made of raffia and metal thread, plus decorative pillows, feathers, and shells. And with this image, I've come to the end of my presentation. Olga Loktionova, I have probably pronounced it wrong, will use the examples from this year's book to show you how interiors designers can work with the book.
Dan moet je stoppen met de zoom, met het sharing.
Спасибо большое. Да, спасибо, Milou.
Thank you very much. But still we have 4 questions that we have prepared in advance. And I would like now to ask you these 4 questions. Actually, that was my decision and my wish to organize it in this way, because quite often I see that people, even after presentations, cannot understand the principle, why all this is so necessary, and why trends are so necessary. So my first question is, what is important to know about trends for industrial designers who create design products like, for example, white wallpaper, furniture, decor? Why is it important to follow and to attach to this knowledge?
Of course, there are a lot of designers who have their own signature style, and it's very good if they continue that way. But if they follow trends, they have more commercial value, and I think it would help them to sell their products better, because it's also a kind of a wave that the interest in products is growing, and you can just benefit from that. And I feel that for the future, the issues of sustainability have the most urgency. And it's a challenge to spare our resources and develop products that fit into the circular economy. And I think designers should research our resources and experiment with waste, with natural materials such as fungi or turnip, corn, algae, and there are also other products like Pinatex or Barktex, and fibers like cactus and milk.
То есть как принт, или это все-таки мы говорим о...
You mean as print, or you are talking about recycling? Because, for example, in Frankfurt and Heimtextil, we saw really very impressive fabrics and papers, and these are the products of recycling. And we saw also cacti.
It is not only a product of recycling, but it's also using different materials for the future. And there's very interesting solutions for that. And of course, recycling is important too, to recycle the waste of the plastic soup that ended up in the oceans. And you can use them for different products, or you can use PET bottles. But we also should change our mind to develop new materials for fabrics.
Спасибо.
Thank you very much. I also would like to ask you, actually, you have already touched it upon in your presentation about your experience in working with different manufacturers, but I have some more questions about it, about your experience of working with textile companies, and why is it so important to make different collections, taking into consideration the trends that may emerge in the future. And this is what we describe as trend motion or trend movement.
Of course, the briefing for the designer is very important. That is key. And you should always ask for a good briefing, because there's so much difference in how you interpret an assignment. You should know the price level, you should know the competitors, you should know where the product is sold. And a trend book is just a starting point, and it's not to be copied, but it's a starting point to show what is new in the field, and then you can develop your own products. I have been working for instance, with Swarovski, and they've taken the time, the different managers, to show me what are the limitations in the production and what are the possibilities. And they've showed me, and they told me, for instance, also about customers that they do business to business, but also like in India or in the Middle East, there are customers who have faucets of solid gold, and they even want to apply crystal on top of it, and I'd never heard of it. And when I did the assignment for the private jets, there was a feng shui expert there to explain, but also to see if we did it right. And I worked for a company in Turkey, and they wanted me to come over for a whole week, and I had to go with them to fly to 5 Turkish cities, and I talked to 39 shopkeepers to understand the mentality of the Turkish of their customers. So that's very important. And then I still should tell you about one of my customers in China. They wanted to have more sales for a very luxurious company in the United States, and we did the complete assignment by the internet and by Skype. The only thing that was different was that the colors that I proposed to them for the different themes had to be printed out, and I had to send them with a courier to them for approval, because colors is always still a difficult subject. But it is possible. I was quite amazed to work with this company, because they would send me. You're maybe familiar with mind maps, but they did a kind of a visual mind map, and they would tell me what the progress was, what products they wanted to develop, where I had to come in to do their color combinations and color ways, when it was finished, and in the end, they from my PowerPoint, the PowerPoint presentation that I made, they printed a huge book of 80 centimeters, so very luxurious, fitting to the atmosphere of the customer, and they glued in the real materials.
Да, это очень легко работать.
yeah, from fabrics, it's of course very important to have to feel it and to almost smell it, isn't it? That was my answer.
Да, спасибо.
Thank you very much. I still have two more questions, but if you do not mind, I will join them together.
That's fine.
Can you share with us what do you think would be your forecasts for 21-22 and how trends changed during the pandemic? If actually there were some changes because of the pandemic, what do you think about it?
That's difficult to judge because there will be large differences in different parts of the world, but also when you compare rural area to the city. And we should not forget that a lot of people will lose their jobs and will have very low income to spend. We have realized even more how important it is, how important our homes are, and our homes should be very versatile because they can be our homes, but also can be our offices, or sometimes you have to maybe teach your children in the home, or you're growing plants in your home. So that's quite a difference. But also products that should be versatile and should be should be adaptable to different stages of your life. And I think we also realize, because it depends, of course, where you are living, but it has started already before. It is already a trend for longer time, but we appreciate nature much more. So we want to take nature into our homes. We grow plants, and we have green interiors, and we feel more connected. And that's actually the most important thing of this pandemic, that we really appreciate human connections again.
Да.
That's my answer.
Да, спасибо. Спасибо. Я тоже абсолютно...
Thank you very much once again. I do agree with you. Yes, we can see it very well even on the projects that are realized by different designers and different projects. And we see now that people are more inclined to nature. I thank you very much indeed for this presentation, for your answers. Again, it is you shared again with so many information with us. And I do believe, and I'm actually sure, that our audience also enjoyed the presentation. Thank you very much once again. And now we are moving to the second part of this presentation.
Вам покажу, как...
So I will show you how we work in our studio with the trend book. We will show you how we use it in our daily routine and how easy it is and how useful it is.
Наш семинар называется «На одной волне. Работа».
So, once again, I will show you how to work with a trend book and how it works. We called the lecture On the Same Wave. Why such a name? For us, it means being successful, that a designer and a customer are on the same wave. It's easy to understand each other, and it's beneficial for both. You've seen how the trends differ, how they can be interpreted. Milou has already showed it to you, showed you the examples from the previous books, showed you how the trends change and how this change can be used. So we'll show you the examples of our design projects. They will illustrate our work procedure and how they implement the trend book. I believe it will be a good and necessary experience for you all. I need to say that our textile studio usually works with interior designers and with architects. We have some customers that go directly to us, but usually we are a team with designers and stylists. And I believe that working together with the interior designer is the best option because it gives the best results. In our work, there are two ways usually. Sometimes we start with the concept, or the next possibility when they decorate the already existing project. Then, for example, we just work as decorators. Then we correct the interior with the textile when we just add something to the interior. So today I'll try to show you the first way, the ideal when we begin with the concept. So we don't decorate the already existing interior, but we are part of the team and we work together with the interior designer. And here it's very important to understand the tasks and the aims of the designer. Then the designer thinks of the style. Designer need to think of the application of this particular room. If it's a private house or a private flat, then it's usually for the long time. Person will spend a lot of time here and maybe for many years. So here it's really important to see the trend. And here the core should be the core of the trend, not some just accents. This interior need to be based on the core ideas of the trend that once be out of fashion for many years. If we decorate a hotel, something for the hospitality, then it's not all, it's about long-term perspective. If we usually the restaurants, the cafes, the hotel lobbies should be very trendy. And here the main attention is paid to the details of the trend. Sometimes also clients want to have the same style, but two absolutely different variants of the same style. It can be different mood, different design, but the trend itself, the style itself should be the same. Some customers like such an approach. When they when they design a project, we need to understand the timeline for how long this interior should be used. Will it be used for many years to come, or it's just trendy and fashionable? The main task of a designer is to understand if the design will be relevant and actual in the future as well. If let's speak a little about the customer. We need to give the presentation. We work with the mood board. We collect the project with materials, with textiles. and show on the mood board. Why it's important for a customer? The customer is a part of a kind of a game. The customer chooses the mood that is more relevant to him or her. So actually, minimizes the possibility of error because the customer becomes a part of the whole project. Besides, every customer, especially those customers that want the interior of their flat, they want to be a part of the project. They want to be a part of the creation. We want to feel this creative spirit. So you kind of let them in and give them the possibility to be a part of the creation, feel the spirit. And with the mood board, it's so easy to give this power and this feeling to the customer. Today we'll look at 3 projects. They are already been implemented. Those are projects that were created by our designers in Sochi, and I'm really happy about it because those are very beautiful designs. We'll watch at project by Diana Kalinkina, the first one. It's a nomadic Asian style. It has some national hint about it. We'll also look at the project by Anna Mishenko. And here we'll speak about details, and also we'll look at the project by Madame Antonenko, and I call it Nature and Gold. You can see the picture on the right. In a previous presentation, you already saw these trends. You probably already guessed them. So let's be more precise. How we start our project? We start with the concept. This is the concept, the mood that was collected by Diana. And this is nomadic, this is Asian. You can see the fish, the mountains, some craft papers, something typically Asian. And now we see how it's implemented in the project. Then the designer is ready to the concept, the mood. Then we meet and we look at the textile. Why it's important? Because textile really influences a lot. We see big surfaces such as walls, such as windows, the floor. Those are big surfaces that really influence. The furniture is something of, this is a second step. Yeah, the furniture also influences the project, but it's the second step. So first, we need to think of those big surfaces. This is why it's so good when we don't need to decorate the already existing interior, but when we work together with the interior designer. Sometimes it's so easy to walk when there's nothing in the room, just the concrete. So here we can see the visualizations that created by Diana. If you work with luxurious textiles, it's really good to find the mood boards already and create the mood boards already with those fabrics so that your customer could see it and it will be easier. Here we can see the bedroom. Here the cover for the bed, first of all, was different. It was first zinc, now it's the dark, but the style was the same.
Here you can see how the mood board is done. To the right, you can see what we were inspired by. And this is what we used during the mood board making. If we manage to see this short film, how mood board is done, then I would be really happy. But again, the principle is still the same. We should always think about the location, about surfaces, about planes. If, for example, it is a shelf, then it should be horizontal. If the walls, then of course they are horizontal, they are vertical, but they are straight, they are not diagonal. So in fact, we are always trying to limit the fantasy of our customers, and all the details are included that are included in the mood board are the details that will be present in a project. There may be also accessories or some details like, for example, smaller minor parts that are used for furniture. And there we may also see that it is also not just in vain, that it also some minor parts, they are also full of sense. And I would like to show you once again, here on this photo, we can see how we work and how the author actually worked, how we make these books, trend books, how we are all convened in our studios, how we meet each other and we see all the samples, some parts of the projects on the table, and we are inspired by this.
Я бы прошу отключить микрофон в студии. Так, и еще
Ольга,
раз хочу
наконец-то вы меня слышите. Мы же говорим, что дедлайн, у нас уже все.
Actually, it is the deadline. You are 3 times over. You are already beyond the time limits. And finally, I can tell it to you. So, okay, I see. We are already beyond the time limits. I will skip some of the slides, but I have to share still some information with you. For example, this is a restaurant. And here you can see that everything is in the details. For example, you may change the lusters and everything will be changed. The interior will become different. So what I'm trying to convey, details are important. And this is my favorite project, just a few words about it, because this is a unique case. I just wanted to share a video with you how we managed to create a mood board. And here we had 2 different dimensions. On the one hand, that was a absolutely natural style. And the second dimension, it is also natural, but with gold. And that was really beautiful. That was really splendid. Or here you can see, this is what I did without some particular knowledge about this project, and that was really great because we've managed to implement it and we use it now. Actually, that is it. I have finished with this presentation. The subject is really so versatile, so interesting. I hope that I managed to convey the message that the trend books are very important, and it is also important to see the dimensions of the trends and how trends will develop. We also have some video, but I know that we are already beyond the time limits.
Так, теперь я не слышу студию. Теперь я только слышу сама себя.
Слышите?
Да, вот теперь слышу.
Ага. Ольга, у нас уже как 5 минут мы переработали.
We have already worked 5 extra minutes, so it's time to relax. But still, there is one question, and if you manage to answer it very quickly, I think we all are going to be happy. So this is a question to Milou in English. The question is, I do agree that you are inspired by nature, but how it can be implemented into simple design?
Can you repeat it? Implemented in?
How?
We have a question.
I didn't get the question.
Yeah.
Can you repeat it, please?
Nature gives you the best inspiration.
Yes.
How do we convert it into simple designs?
I think the color communicates the best. So there are different possibilities to convey that in your interior. So with colors, with plants, with wallpaper, there are also beautiful possibilities with carpets, and also because of the digital printed carpets, that makes it possible to have just one of a product. So there are lots of possibilities to make it a very natural home, or by wood, texture, warmth.
Благодарю за ваш ответ.
Thank you very much for your answer. So that is it about the presentation and about this session. Thank you for your presentation. I would like to thank Milou Ket and Olga Loktionova for these very wonderful presentations, and see you later.